I want to shift the gears a little bit here because, I'm a technologist, I'm in the technology industry, but I think the technology side, being able to bring automation and efficiency and, bring using technology to bring us closer to our patients when they're further away from us, right? All those things that technology can do is only one half the equation. I think the other half of the equation, and I kind of talk about, it's about leadership, right? It's about how do we actually change the way we think about this. What I love about this conversation with my panelists today is that we have someone that's on the IT side. They eat, IT every morning. They get up, it's like a box of Wheaties. They pour their IT in a bowl, and they eat it with a little bit of milk and stuff, but they live IT every day. And then we have someone on the other side that's the chief medical officer that's focused on delivering patient care, right? And delivering the services. And the fact that we've come together and realized that those conversations have to be different, right? If we're going to really succeed, we can't be siloed anymore. We have to be able to work across those silos. To me, one of the things that was very apparent when we were preparing for this is that the type of talent that we look for is going to be different going forward. We can't look at people that are just IT technical people that don't have strong communication skills. So let's start on that a little bit and kind of talk about what we see shifting in how we want to bring in talent to the organization that are maybe a better fit for the organization for long term. So Manny, let me start with you, then we'll have Ertha jump in in a second. So what are some of the things that you're seeing or doing on that end around talent and getting the right people in the organization?
Yeah, I think, as we touched on previously, it's more about the passion that connects people to work. I've thought a lot about what it means to be a leader, and I think I've kind of kept some things that have been mentioned to me in the past. Of course, being a leader is less about managing folks and more about leading the conversation to change hearts and minds rather than than anything else. I find that the value in leadership is more about the conversation that you're willing to have with the people doing the work and guiding them through the journey that is change. So I know we talk about change management as if it's this monolithic thing that exists, at the organization strategy level, but it's really more about making sure the people are equipped to handle that change and making sure they understand the benefits and why it is that we're doing what we're doing. So I think collaboration, teamwork, and ultimately the open lines of communication are really what I found great success in. But what I look for often is more so fit with culture. The technical can be learned, right? We all know that. I think in technology, we're always learning, and as well as other industry, but you hire for people with a passion to do better or to drive an organization forward or that have that sense of community camaraderie in an organization. So that's what we look for.
Yeah, I love that. So what I love about the comment, Manuel, is that it's just a focused kind of your journey too, right? For you to be successful going forward, it's less about managing people, but it's leading people. So there's new skills that you're learning every day to put them into motion to be able to lead teams going forward. And I think the comment about change being a continuous aspect is really important. Ertha, what would you add to this? Because I know we had some conversation, I'm sure on the whole organization is delivering healthcare. There's changes occurring across the board as well.
Yes, I couldn't agree with Manuel more. What I've found is that when I'm interviewing for, positions at our organization, I look for two things. One, is this person a self-starter? And two, whether or not they're a team player. I think it fits right back into, hiring the best fit. We can all have the same qualifications, but how do you distinguish whether or not this person can act as a team and work within the culture of the organization? Because many of the issues that we face over time doesn't come necessarily with the skill sets, but with the interaction with each other. And I think as we move forward, we become better at trying to pick those type of team members out and develop that talent. Because we can teach, as to Manuel's point, you can teach some of these things. You can teach the technology, I can teach medicine, but you can't really teach someone who you want to stay in the organization and they are, not really wanting to be there, or this was not really their true calling. We want to be able to develop the type of people who want to not only just have talent, but also wanting to contribute what they have to the organization.
It's interesting. I like that portion. And I'm gonna pull out kind of a couple of words that you've mentioned on both sides. Is this word about purpose, meaning, calling, right? I think when we talk about how do we get people to stay in a company longer, how do we increase the retention of that employee? We got to make it someplace that they want to be, because there's something greater than just a paycheck that's keeping them here, right? So when I look at employees and the way we think, employees can think at three different levels. They can think that I have a job, and a job is I do an hour's worth of work and I get an hour's worth of pay. And there's no discretion there, and it's very black and white. And consequently, we treat those employees in a black and white environment, right? We don't give them the same leeway that we give people that may put more discretionary effort into what we do. And it's more about compliance too. We make them comply, fill out your time card, do this, do that, right? There's a lot of compliance elements that we build into that. The next level up, I think that some employees do, they're looking for a career. They want to build a career for themselves. So it's, how do I advance through the ranks? How do I learn more information? How do I become more relevant? How do I have a bigger impact in the organization? And it's about me and developing myself and moving myself forward through the organization. And that's part of that self-starter. People that have that initiative inside them, they constantly want to be moving through. They want to do more. They want to take on more. They like challenges. They like change because it creates opportunity for them to grow. And those individuals are there for more than just a paycheck, right? For them, it's about their personal attainment, what they can achieve in life, right? Then the third one, which I think is important, we can navigate and help employees move through this continuum from a job to a career by the efforts that we put into them. In our organizations, we hire people that are more aligned to being able to move through that path. But the highest level is what I call there for something more than a paycheck. There because the cause, the mission, the meaning of the organization is really driving us forward. So for me, that's kind of how I look at it. So building purpose within individuals. And what I'm finding is the younger generation coming into their workforce, they're looking more to have an impact. So purpose and meaning is something that they're looking for in work. And when they don't see it, then it just becomes a job. And many of them aren't really interested in the job. Are you guys seeing the same thing as you're going through? And is it changing at all?
Yes, I've spoken with, millennials and Gen Zs, and even though sometimes we think that they're just, technology driven, I think many of them grew up with, the baby boomers looking at the Gen X's and saying, I don't want my life to be like yours, where you just go to work and then your life ends up, sideways for some reason. So they're coming in with a different purpose, and they want to make sure that what they're doing is contributing to something. And I feel that that's where we can capture them, and we can actually, mold them the way in which we want to, because there's also that other element of whether or not we think that they are as productive as we would like them to be. Because I'm from the older generation where I think that, to be productive, you have to really work very hard.
Yeah.
But for them, I think it's just about, it must be purposeful work. And therefore, I will work toward that purpose. It shouldn't be just work. And with that, it shifts a little bit. It shifts the ground under you if you're an older generation not realizing that they can still produce as much as you would want them to produce, even if you think that, it's not a 5-day week and it's probably a 3-day week. Even if you think that the hours that you want to offer them is less than what you would otherwise work, they are more productive and they have more purpose. And I think that's the kind of force that we're going to be looking at in the future and should be looking at even now.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I know that when we talked during the practice session, we talked about kind of looking for that people that are naturally aligned for that purpose, that calling and meeting. But as leaders, and I'll go to what Manuel said, is that we as leaders have to be able to inspire that in our team, right? Inspire them and get them to see the meaning and purpose in the job. And so I know, Manuel, in your team, now you lead a team of IT individuals that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. How are you addressing, because IT can be quite boring, right? You're not delivering patient care, you're not doing surgeries, and quite frankly, we acknowledged already that IT is not sexy, or a lot of aspects of IT are not sexy. How do you actually build meaning? What do you do to build meaning and purpose with the current workforce plus the younger generation that's coming in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, as technologists, I think we like to believe that everything that we do is the sexiest thing, right? And it's the best thing to be doing, right? But
Yeah,
I
we
think
can get geeked out about things, that's for sure.
yeah, it's more about, the why. Why are we doing this now? What does this mean to the organization? What does this mean in our journey to getting there? And really what I like to talk more about is the promise of technology, right? And what it delivers should we accomplish what we need to accomplish today. What does that mean to tomorrow, right? And really what I find the most intriguing about healthcare is that it's largely driven by data and analytics. And the promise of data driving kind of new ways of delivering care in more efficient and effective ways in our organizations. Population health scratches the surface, but there's some really exciting work happening in other industries like pharma, and where we're looking and leveraging this technology to make decisions faster so that we can provide the best possible care. And that resonates with ambulatory care as well, like us. I mean, the promise that, yes, we can manage 150,000 patients on a one-to-one basis when you're in front of me, but can I do that more effectively by building cohorts, populations, looking at their conditions, and really looking at the data and leveraging that to provide care? That's what I find the most intriguing about technology in healthcare and where it takes us.
So you're finding a way to take the technology work that you do and connect it to the greater purpose of what your industry, your organization is trying to accomplish, and putting the employee in front and center of that. So you're helping them see that purpose and see that connection. I think it's a huge, to me, it makes a lot of sense to do that. And I think, I think it can definitely change the way they feel about the organization themselves.
I just want to jump in here, Tim, and say that it has also provided actually increased patient access. We have not been able to see the number of patients that we were able to see if we didn't have the technology that we have. As we well know, many of our providers we spoke about earlier burned out, just like any other group that's been working quite hard during the COVID period and even before that. And being able to work the way they want to, the hours they would like to, has helped because they can now at least feel a little bit more recharged. And the patient also has more access because now being at home, being in a different environment where they're comfortable, they're able to reach patients that otherwise we would not be able to reach. So technology has helped with that tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see how that makes a difference, right? And the way, not even just their well-being about being an employee, they're not getting as burned out as fast. They're able to get more accomplished, maybe in different, using their time in a slightly different way. They can integrate their personal life and their work life together a little bit more. So there's more balance, there's more connection there, which we saw some people are reprioritizing, right? So it allows us to do those things that we couldn't have done beforehand. But it also allows me to reach people that are in need, right? That we wouldn't get to see otherwise and wouldn't be able to help. So I think that's been a huge impact. The one last thing I'll do before we kind of go to the wrap up is that the one thing that I think that I heard through there, if I pull it out a little bit, is that we have to invest in our employees in the organization. So there's a level of development that we have to train them, we have to educate them, we have to provide the connection between the work they do and the mission of what the organization is doing. And so just real quickly, kind of a thought, Ertha, on kind of what you think about investing and developing your talent in that fashion. And is there anything you're doing that's helping with that process?
Yes, I can't agree with you more. I mean, we've approached it in two ways. The first way is that we internally decided to have our own university where we can improve training. We've used, the typical training methods of Reliance and continue to do so. But we have at least hire talent where we can have someone train the staff, not only just from the executive, but all the way through. And then the other aspect of retention, we realized that we had to actually make some moves in changing our MA model. Even at this point, we're looking at changing the front office model where we have more of a tiered system of approach. So people can actually work their way upward to other positions within the company. I feel that that's one of the ways in which you look at retention as well, how well you can keep those people by actually improving their ability to make steps upward and feel like they're being promoted to another position
Yeah.
where they can get better compensation.
It's that career progression, right? So if it's only a job they come in and do, and it's the same thing over and over for 5, 10 years, and there's no progression for them, they're going to view it as a job. If I
Correct.
can do them and see there's a career pathway, now I start looking at it as a career. If I tie mission and purpose in, it becomes more of a calling. I know, Manuel, there's some things that you guys are doing over there that's trying to bridge the gap. So it's just not online learning. It's, kind of, making it more experiential. Can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's always opportunities, and much to the sentiment that Dr. Nanton said as well, the organization holistically is focused on trying to create those pathways for things like those frontline positions, your MA1s, your 2s, things like that. In IT, we very much made it a point that this work is still happening today. At least when I came into the organization, we were predominantly pretty flat of an organization in terms of mobility within the IT team. Creating structures that, offer that next tier or a clear pathway for your employees is kind of foundational to that work. And so we did a lot of work in that area early on. Beyond that, I find that, giving employees the opportunity to stretch beyond their skill set, strengthen their skills, strengthen their technical knowledge. Looking at what I really like to tout a lot about is looking at the intersection of technology and the business. We can have great technologists, but if you're just great at technology and you can't engage with business, you can't have conversations to understand the pain points of what you're trying to deliver, then really we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. So I make it a point to really focus on, okay, what's the experience that this technology will have on the user? What's the impact of that? What is the value proposition for doing this today? And that's how I like to lead any technical initiative. And there's also some, there's some obvious ones, of course. Compensation has a lot to do with, your employees, opportunity for education, certification, professional skilling, things like that. We're building in some of those structures today, and it's exciting, especially being a nonprofit. You actually get more benefits than you think. So I'd encourage you all as leaders, if you are a nonprofit community health center, talk to your partners. There's opportunity there to benefit your employees and your workforce. So
it's awesome. Yeah, you definitely have to make an investment. Our employees are our greatest asset in the organization. We have to invest in them just like we would any of our tools and equipment that we put in place.